Hello folks, welcome to another episode of Food by Dobbers. This is back to basics. So, I'm going to show you how to bone and roll a lamb shoulder. Now, in my opinion, the two best cuts of a lamb, one is the shoulder, one is the rack. I want no further comments on this. Best, hands down, end of story. So I'm going to show you how to bone out and roll a shoulder. Very easy, very simple. You know, you look at this big chunk of meat, looks a bit daunting. Now, this is a square cut lamb shoulder. Can you guess why they call it square cut? Because it's the shape of a square. 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 Ooh la la. Okay, so first things first, what we want to do is remove any of these little bits of schmeg and filth. Now remember folks, when boning things out, a good sharp knife is the key. A sharp knife is a safe knife. End of story. We're just going to remove any of that fat, any of that blood, any of those little glands that have still attached themselves, and off they come. Give the knife a little wipe. Also remember folks, a clean knife is a safe knife. If you get any grease or filth in your hands, just wipe it off. Greasy handle is slip, is cut, is bad, is danger. So what we're going to do now, we have the neck bone, which is attached to the first 4 rib bones. From here, forequarter, mid-quarter, or sorry, forequarter, mid. Anyway, this is where the lamb rack starts. So the lamb rack would be there, but it's not there because it's the shoulder. Find those rib bones, and then with our knife, we're going to run hard up on the edge of those ribs, like so. And then it's just a simple matter of folding over and running as hard against those ribs as you can to not leave any meat on there. Okay, so down we go. Now, once we get down to the neck, that's when things start to get a bit tricky. You've got to work and manipulate your way over those neck bones. So, we've got it down to there. We're not going to cut any further. Now, we're going to work our way down the neck. So, running as hard as you can. You'll feel all the little ridges and bumps. It's just a simple matter of working your way down. Take it slowly. Okay, now, here we are, folks. The neck has been opened up. So as hard up against those bones as you can go. Like so. Lots of bumps, lots of ridges. Take your time, work your way through it. Now I'm sure there's some butcher out there going, he's doing it wrong. Well, unfortunately, I'm doing it the only way I know how. There's a million different ways to skin a cat. There's a million different ways to do anything. This is just my way that I'm showing you. Okay, so now, neck, flap, ribs, there we go. On this side, you see we've got some little vertebrae, so all we're going to do is run our knife along those vertebrae like so. And there we go. There we have our ribs and our neck attached. Now, one little good thing to see is this little yellow piece of cord they call elastin. Now, elastin is a thing unlike gelatin, unlike collagen, unlike fat. Elastin will never break down in the cooking process. You can boil this in water for a day straight and it'll still be exactly the same. So that little piece of elastin has to be removed. She's no good for anything. Here we have our shoulder with the ribs and neck bones removed. Now you see there's a big pocket of fat. You can feel that. Sometimes they're very large if you give it a press. Sometimes they're very large, sometimes they're very small. All I'm going to do now is cut that chunk of fat out, just like so. There we go. Lovely. The next step, now what we want to do is remove the rib flap and the neck meat from the shoulder. Okay, so you can see here, I can just peel this apart with my fingers. Remember, give the knife a wipe, like so, and it does not take much work at all. You can see it's just basically pulling apart with my hands. There you go, folks. Have a look at that. Absolutely lovely. Now, all we're going to do here now is once again trim up some of this fat like that. That's all pretty good. That's not looking too bad. Okay, now we come to the part of removing the shoulder blade. Now, shoulder blade is in a triangle just here. So what we're going to do, there's the joint of the shoulder blade. You need to find and locate the joint. And from where the joint is, you want to go up in a perfectly straight line down the center of the shoulder blade. Now, once again with boning, I like to use a flexible knife. Gives you a good bit of play. You know, for example, you can get right in there without actually having to get your whole arm down. Let the knife do the bending, not your arm, folks. Now, handle's gotten a bit greasy from that lamb fat. Give it a wipe, folks. Remember, a non-slippery hand is a safe hand. So, all we're gonna do is follow that shoulder blade down until we get to the edge of the shoulder blade, like so. Now I'm going to turn this around, repeat the process on the same side, and there you go. There is our shoulder blade exposed. Now what we're going to do is separate the shoulder blade from the actual shoulder itself. So just using the tip of the knife, running across the edge of where that shoulder blade is, like so. So now we've exposed those bones. Now we'll come back to that. So now we're working our way down to the shoulder joint. So it's a little ball and cup scenario, folks. The blade is the cup, the leg bone is the ball. You can see right here. So now I've separated the cup and ball just in there like so. Now, once again, going around. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go in with our knife, hard up against the shoulder blade bone. So, like so, using the bone as a guide. Until we get to the little crown of the shoulder blade. Using that knife just to run along that bone, like so. Now, we turn the knife inwards, we scrape down hard against that bone, just like so. Now, are you ready for this one? Now I'm just gonna grab a hold of this with my tea towel, pinch at my fingers, and then what we do is peel. And there you go, folks. I probably could have been a bit closer with the meat there, but I haven't boned one of these in a few years, so that's not a bad attempt for maybe, 3-4 years. We've removed the shoulder blade. Now it comes on to the top part of the leg. Now all we need to do is find where the leg is and join those two up. So just cutting straight through, folding the meat over as you go. And now remember, folks, I'm no butcher. I've done quite a bit of meat work in my life, but far to say an expert of boning out a lamb shoulder. All I'm doing is showing you the best way that I know how. Now we've got this bone exposed, just a matter of working around that joint. Now, just bear in mind there's a couple of really thick bits of tendon. What you want to do is cut those out because they don't cook very nicely. Now, just feel around. Sometimes there can be a little bit of cartilage or left that you've skimmed off the bone, and there you go. So now all I'm gonna do is trim up a bit more of this fat out of the shoulder because some of this fat is not very nice to eat. And if the fat doesn't get hit with enough heat, it won't render and you get left with stinky, smelly lamb from the lanolin, which is contained in the fat. Okay, so there you go, folks. This is our boned out lamb shoulder. So now the next step is we are going to roll this bad boy. We fold it back over together like so, push all that in. Then, having the neck in the center, we roll this up. And there you go. You have your gorgeous little lamb shoulder roast. Now I'm gonna show you guys the trussing technique that I was shown as a wee young apprentice. It's easy, it's simple. It requires essentially 2 knots and that's it. The rest of it is method and technique. So, are you ready? We've got our twine. Remember folks, always have your butcher's twine for this technique and the opposite side you're going to be starting at. So, we have our twine. We create a little loop. We fold it over. The end goes back through the hole and then through the hole you created, thus creating a little slip knot. Now this goes over one end, we pull that nice and tight, then this is the beautiful part. So ready? Once, twice, 3 times, back over the other end. And then those little loops end up creating little slip knots themselves within the lamb and around whatever you're trussing. So wind that around your fingers a couple of times, pull that nice and tight, once, twice, 3 times. Get into it, find your rhythm, 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 rhythm. Once, twice, 3 times. Up. To finish this off and stop this from falling apart, our end goes under the middle string, under the rear string, if you can get it in, if you haven't done it so tight like I have, whoops. Under she goes, and then back through that hole on the other side. And there you go, folks. That is our boned, rolled, and trussed lamb shoulder. Doesn't get much easier than that, folks. Ooh la la. Ooh la la.